Hi, I'm Tom Gaston, and this is how Collingwood prepares for an interstate trip thanks to AIA Australia. So I am the Head of Football Operations here at the club, essentially responsible for making sure the football program runs as smoothly and efficiently as possible. So that might be in the form of scheduling, communication, logistics, property, complying with AFL rules and regulations, and really just being a primary point of contact with the playing group and also the staff. The planning process for an interstate trip starts as soon as the AFL fixture comes out. I'll work really closely with Jared Wade, our Head of High Performance, to make sure that we are understanding what the trip looks like and how we're going to facilitate that. This trip though was slightly different given we were going to Perth. The decision was made to travel a day earlier, so 2 days before the game, to make sure that the players are best fit to perform on game day. This is obviously slightly different from what we would normally do and involved a captain's run over in Perth, but from our perspective we need to make sure we're remaining as agile as possible. Planning an away trip is obviously critical from my team's perspective. Essentially the players and staff are solely relying on us to make sure that the trip runs really smoothly and that it's well organised and communications are high. When we're in a foreign environment, there's often times where things are uncertain and we're working with different vendors and facilitators, so we need to make sure that we're in really high communication with each other between our team, but also externally to the players and staff. Sarah Alexander is our Football Operations Coordinator, who does a power of work in the background in making sure that all of our players are serviced, whether it be from a ticketing perspective, wristbands post-game. She's also the primary point of contact for the hotels, bus companies, airports. Sarah will work really closely with our property team to make sure that all the equipment gets on the plane, and then on the back end making sure that from the plane it gets to the Optus Stadium to make sure that everything's there for our captain's run the next day.
My name's Sarah Alexander and I work in the football department. My role is the Football Operations Coordinator. So shortly we'll be going interstate for our round 9 game against Fremantle, and so there's a fair bit of planning that goes into that. Obviously as you get closer to it, around that sort of 2-week mark, that's when things will start to get really, really busy. And then from there, it's just every day is something new that gets added and you need to start planning again. In my role, I handle all the ticket requests for the players and the coaches.
Yeah, how many are you needing? Okay. Yeah, we'll make it work. Like I'm sure there'll be players that won't use theirs. I know Bobby was also on the hunt for a fair bit more.
You have to manipulate a fair few numbers. You have 150 that come through the enclosure for the players, and that's normally sort of 4 per playing player. And obviously you get a few extra requests above that because 4 is not too many for a family. So you have those, and then you also have the premiership passes. So the boys can redeem their premiership passes, which I often have to help them with in terms of just making sure that we get them done. And so they can access their tickets through the prem passes as well as the enclosure. That sort of starts normally the week after we've just finished the previous game. Send out a form, they then fill out their request, and then I start to use that information to manipulate where we put people and how we work through it.
There's obviously actually a few of you that are over in WA, so there'll be, I reckon, a couple of you that will want extras, but then I reckon there'll be people that, tight turnaround families, like probably won't travel because it's a midweek game. Like once we get over there, I'll do the wristbands, and I reckon it'll be the kind of thing where we do it over dinner, I'll hand out the envelopes, and then obviously you can kind of just be like, is anyone actually not using them? Thanks, Tessie, bye, you too.
We book 65 hotel rooms for all of the travelling staff and players. For a game like Perth, you'd look to take all 26 players, and then your travelling football staff, which is around 30, and then some administration comes into that as well. So you'll have property, which is all your equipment and the cargo that will normally go on either an earlier flight or the team flight. And that's sort of the 2 days before normally, so you've got enough time in case there's any mishaps. And then the actual player's luggage obviously is on the team flight.
I'm Jared Wade, Head of Performance of Collingwood Football Club. Once we get on the flight, it can be pretty relaxed. We're hopeful that we've got most of our work done pre that flight and going to the game. We like to train here in Melbourne before flying, so that we give some players, if it's a longer flight, 2 hours to Brisbane or 4 hours to Perth, and they can have some recovery and downtime on the plane, watch a movie, chill out a little bit, not be thinking footy all of that time.
When they get off the plane, when we arrive in Perth, they'll collect their bags, jump on a bus and go to the hotel. From there, they'll pick up their key cards to get into their rooms.
Then we provide some massage and some things like that to sort of regulate our players down, try and get them a good night's sleep, knowing that it's different hotel, different rooms, different routines. We're trying to provide some structure to the players within what is just generally different. We have 3 strength and conditioning staff, including myself, that are involved on game day, and that can be warm-ups, rotations. 3 physiotherapists, so they'll be working on the clock around the players, around treatment, medical needs, preparation, those kinds of things.
So the following day, the players will do a captain's run in Perth at Optus Stadium, which is a little unique for us, but really important that we engage with the fans. So once we arrive at the ground, they'll get a bit of a look at the facilities and have a walk on field with a little 30-minute session. After that, they'll sign some autographs and engage with their fans.
I marvel at our operations team and what they have to go through to sort of pack us for an away trip. If we're going to train away, we need things for a complete training sessions. That's balls, agility poles, cones, vests, bibs. We need to take our GPS units, which requires a whole other level of equipment with live receivers and laptops and things that allow us to monitor and track live. Then we need our normal game day routine box. That would be stretching bands, activation bands, foam rollers, massage guns, and there's a whole other box. So we're probably taking up almost half of what we're packing underneath planes. But it's a big undertaking, and we're really well supported by our operations team and our property team. And they really just know what we need for each different individual scenario. Are we training away from home? Are we training here in Melbourne before we travel? They really know what they're packing on each of those different scenarios.
So the operations and property team have set up inside, everything's set to go. The players have just finished their captain's run, signing some autographs. Over to them to play the game tomorrow.
I've got another
I'll do it, mate.